Time now for the Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford. Kots, you got to be feeling good. Things are going well as you've won 7 of 8.
Yeah, we're playing really good baseball. We've been doing that for a while now, and the group, I think the group has a lot of confidence, especially coming out of the Boston series. Last night's win here in Pittsburgh, the way we played that game says a lot about, just the confidence in itself.
Let's talk about that Boston series. We talked about it before, about you're going into a hostile environment. They're a team that's playing for something. When they left the ballpark in West Sacramento, they thought they were in the playoffs, no problem. And that's not the case now. How big was it for your guys to show there at Fenway Park and take 2 out of 3?
No, it's a great stepping stone. I talked to the group yesterday just about that game, about, for me, it was a defining game for this group in terms of their confidence. I know I said that already, but that win should have solidified, their mindset that, hey, we can play with any team, home, road, in a big game, and compete with anyone, really. I mean, like you said, this team, the Red Sox team, has got a chance to make the playoffs. What I was most impressed with as well, when you talked about, them leaving Sacramento and feeling like they were in the playoffs, was that when they left Sacramento, they left on a loss. We could have easily laid down there in that game and on that getaway day, and we showed up. And so, again, a testament to the group and the fight and the mindset to finish this season, and compete till Sunday, what is it, the 27th or 28th, wherever the last game is.
It's the 28th. And by the way, let's stick with mindset. Winning is a mindset. You can work out all you want. There's so many different things that you can do in professional sports to get better as an individual athlete. But as a team and learning how to win, it's a mindset. Do you feel like your club is getting that, where they're starting to understand? Because, we go back to May and it was terrible and everything, but to be in the playoffs, you got to run this race for 6 months. It's just not for 2 months, 3 months, it's 6 months. Do you think your team's starting to figure that out?
I do. I think last night's game was an example of that. I mean, we had, a circumstance there in the 9th inning, a leadoff double. They get them over, and, we didn't necessarily pitch around McCutchen, but we knew that, the guy on deck has a high ground ball rate. Let's attack the guy on deck and set up a double play. And I thought Michael Kelly and Shea did a great job of doing that, working around McCutchen, and then, inducing a ground ball double play to end the game. And, you saw Brett Harris, initially it was a little bit of a bobble, but we ended up turning it. And you want these guys to experience that. You want them to go through that pressure moment so that it gets easier for them. Because even if they are big leaguers, even if they've done it 10,000 times with the game on the line, it's a different type of pressure. And I was really pleased with the way we handled it last night. I mean, every guy, the bullpen comes in and Basso goes through his inning, and gets the job done. And so it continues to show, they're gaining experience in these type of games and these high leverage situations, which should help for next season.
One of the craziest numbers going right now is you trade your closer, and since that date, August 1st, your bullpen has the best ERA in baseball at 2.75. I mean, that is just, no one saw that coming. What has that been like to watch? I can go Hogan Harris, I can go Newcomb. I got all these numbers in front of me. Ferguson, Sterner, all of their ERAs are basically nothing. What has it been like going through this with this bullpen?
No, it's been fun, obviously, to see the growth that they've had, to see them come together as a group and really buy into, there's no roles down here. It's about getting outs. And each guy, whenever that phone rings, whenever their, name's called to come in, that's their mindset. And it's really, like you said, it's worked out to everyone's benefit, really, to the success of each individual's year. We had, like, you look at a guy like Tyler Ferguson that got sent down, that's come back. You look at the ERA from the bullpen, like you said, prior to possibly the trade deadline and where it's at now. I mean, you knock off I would say over a run, possibly in an ERA 3.5 months into the season, that's saying a lot about the group and the success they've had.
Talk about the difference and the confidence you had in Hogan Harris at the beginning of the season and the confidence that you have in him now.
Well, I don't know if the confidence has ever wavered. It's a different, obviously, type of confidence. My confidence in Hogan was that in any situation I could drop him in and he's going to take the ball. He didn't care if it was, losing 7-0 in Toronto or whatever the score was, and I needed him to finish the game. He doesn't have an ego and he doesn't have fear. And you see that in the way he just goes out and pitches. I mean, the biggest example was, in that game in Boston, he gives up a leadoff homer to Bregman. Or no, to Story, right? Story goes deep. Okay, makes it a 2-run game now. Now he's got to face Bregman. And it wasn't, I'm going to pitch around Bregman, I can't make a mistake. It was strike one, strike two, ball one, wham, see ya, go. Like that's the mentality that Hogan's always had. And that's why I think he can be successful in any role, really. And he's shown that.
Well, and I love when you say a guy has no fear. It's like interesting that we're in this game that's all about numbers, and some people question, well, why did this guy play at this point? And why did this guy pitch here? I got to hear it all the time in the post-game show. You're not going to find out unless you put guys in different scenarios, right? You're not going to find out who has fear and who doesn't have fear unless you give them that opportunity to show you.
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to have people who doubt, people who question. It's real easy to do that, when you're not the one actually making the decision. And part of, like you said, part of the process is dropping guys in those situations to find out what they're made of. But another whole side of it that no one looks at is how much these guys work, how much we use them. Like there's so much more involved in the decision-making process than people realize, which is fair. They don't need to. I mean, that's why we're here. But again, the decisions are made. They're not just made on the fly. Like there's a lot of time and a lot of preparation and a lot of communication that goes into these decisions, and they don't always work out. They don't. But you want to try to set up guys for the best success in those spots. And I think we've come to find out that you don't necessarily have to have roles, that guys can fill different roles and still have success.
So you telling me you don't take an A's helmet and put names in the hat and say, okay, he's hitting first, you're the first guy out of the bullpen? That's not what you're saying. Just sitting there chalking it up, eating good food all day long? That's not what you guys do before the game?
I mean, maybe Tommy Lasorda might have kind of gone that route, but and he's one of the best
before the game.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of game planning. There's a lot of preparation. I credit my staff, for the work and the job they've done. I credit the guys in the locker room for continuing to just grind and work and want to grow, want to be better. We constantly try to challenge our processes and improve them, and that's one thing that we'll continue to do. Even the times that are good, we still question our processes, challenge our processes, and make sure that we're trying to, get an advantage in all facets of the game.
Lawrence Butler, it was interesting when he got the contract this offseason just to see how that was going to go this year. And he's really grown here in the second half. I think he's manned up big time since Denzel Clark got hurt, and he's playing center every single day. And as you know, a guy who played center field, it's a lot of wear and tear on the body there's a lot of running that people don't really notice. It is hard. And the way he's starting to finish strong his last 18 games offensively, talk about the growth you have seen and just really seeing this. How good can Lawrence Butler be?
Yeah, the biggest thing I've learned is that the best and worst thing that you can go through is failure. Because when you go through failure, you learn a lot about yourself. And I think that's one thing that Lawrence has learned this season. I know there was a lot of frustration from the outside, in Lawrence's outward expressions of emotion. And We talk about it. We've talked about it a lot. Not everyone handles failure the same way. Not everyone, goes through extended periods of failure. And I think for Lawrence, he's come through that, like you're talking about, the maturation of that you're seeing firsthand. And I think that's a large part of the reason he's having success now. So it's hard to go through. It's hard to let a player go through it without trying to maybe be more forceful in ways of discipline, which I didn't choose. There were obviously times, yes, that there's frustrating times when you feel like there's a lack of effort. But I will tell you this: the lack of effort doesn't come from Lawrence because he doesn't care. It comes because he cares too much, and he wears every out on his sleeve. And I think he's learned that he can't do that. It's a long season, and there's 600 plus at bats, and to be successful in those 600 at bats, if you get 170 hits, you're pretty damn good in this game, and that's really hard to do. And not hardly a handful of guys hit above 300 in this league for a full season.
It sounds a lot like we both have kids. It sounds like parenting, right? Each kid's different. Some kid. Luckily, I hadn't had to do it with my two girls, but some kids you got to kick in the butt. Some kids you got to put your arm around them. But each kid is different, and your players are like your kids.
They are. There's 26 different personalities in there. Not counting the guys that are on the IL, not counting, dealing with their frustrations, dealing with their emotion. And, they want to be part of this group. They want to get back here. When you're on the IL, which I've experienced, unfortunately, a lot in my career, it's challenging to have the right mindset to come in here and be a positive influence in the clubhouse because you don't feel a part of the group, and then when you're failing and you're not getting that opportunity to stay prepared for that one chance or that one opportunity that comes, whether it's a defensive replacement late in the game because you haven't played in 5 days, there's still confidence on our end that you can go in and make a play, and you have to be prepared. And that's really challenging. But you said it right. I mean, managing people, unless you've done it, you have no idea what it's like.
Let's end on this. It just sickened me to see Zack Gelof get hurt. I mean, I love the guy. I love the personality. I love the person. When he first came up and had those 14 home runs and 20 doubles and the OPS, you're like, this kid could be a star, right? And then he's just been hurt for the last 2 years. And to see that injury in Pittsburgh, just what kind of words of advice do you give him on the way out? And just, we still got to believe he still hopefully can be that guy.
He's still young. He's still got a future in front of him. He's gone through this rehab process, so he knows what he's in for. Sometimes that helps, with creating, a positive kind of belief that, hey, I can come back from this. I've done it once. He's a kid that's determined, to do that, which I have a lot of confidence in. And, we're hopeful we get him back healthy again and he can get another shot at this.
You guys got like a ton of pierogies in the clubhouse. What do they feed you in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, there's pasta, pizza. There's things like that, but the nutritionist doesn't allow it inside. So it's all healthy stuff here.
And PNC Park, it's just gorgeous, right?
One of my favorite, definitely one of my favorite. If you're watching this, you haven't seen a game at PNC Park, I highly recommend coming out here. It's a beautiful environment. The backdrop of the city, the bridges, it's pretty special.
And to finish, we'll end on this. To finish, one more win, and you finish over 500 on the road this year. First time since 2021. What would that mean to your club?
Well, it'd be a good accomplishment, obviously. We've played really well on the road, and I think we've played pretty well at home in the second half. So, again, our goal is to win as many games the rest of the season and, look back at this and continue to build for next season, and the confidence that we have right now, we'll roll that into next year.
Great stuff, Kots. We'll talk to you next week at the ballpark in West Sacramento. The Mark Kotsay Show, brought to you by Folsom Lake Ford.